Welcome to the CSI Las Vegas Intern Training Program. This course will help you prepare for actual field work by teaching you how to navigate your environment, collect and process evidence, use the lab equipment, question suspects, and get information from your fellow CSIs. To exit the training, click the options icon on the lower right at any time. This is the CSI Morgue. Al Robbins will always be here to help you conduct the postmortem examination for any investigation that has a victim. For now, we will use the objects on his table to show you how to examine evidence and how to use your forensic tools. To scan the table area, you can move your mouse cursor over the left or right edges of the screen. To examine potential evidence, move your pointer over any of the objects on the table, see the forward arrow appear, and click to get a closer look. While in this view, you can touch the mouse to the edges of the screen to look at the item from different angles. This works for the top, bottom, left, and right edges of the screen. Sometimes this will reveal evidence hidden from view. You can also zoom your view in or out using the mouse wheel or by clicking the buttons on the toolbar. Notice the back button on the toolbar indicates that you can return to the previous screen. You can do this by clicking the button itself or right-clicking anywhere on the screen. Try backing up now. Now let's learn to use the tools. Again, move forward to examine one of the pieces of evidence on the table. When you're close enough to use a forensic tool from your kit, the cursor will change to a tool icon. Clicking when it's visible will bring up the tool menu. Tools are categorized into either collection or detection tools. Rolling the cursor over any of the tools gives you a brief description of its use. For a simple description of each tool, roll the mouse over it and read the tip at the bottom of the screen. For a more detailed description of each tool, click the Tool Hub button. Simply click the right mouse button to back out of the tool menu. When you're close enough to use a forensic tool from your kit, the cursor will change to a tool icon. Clicking when it's visible will bring up the tool menu. You can use the gloves in your Collection Tool category tab to collect larger pieces of evidence. Select the gloves with a single click, then pick up the item by moving the cursor over it and clicking. Evidence you collect is added to your evidence folder and categorized as either trace, documents, or items. Sometimes evidence has even more evidence on it. In these cases, you can apply your tools directly to the evidence from this view. To inspect the item for more evidence, rotate the object in the viewer by touching the mouse to the edges of the screen. If you suspect there may be more evidence on it, bring up the appropriate tool. Be sure to check each item thoroughly. Usually this kind of evidence is hard to see. The descriptions of the evidence will often update throughout the case, so check them regularly. Click on an evidence icon in the toolbar to review what you know about it. To complete all required tasks in this location, collect the evidence on the table. You can use the digital camera from your Collection Tool category tab to collect visual evidence, such as bruises or spatter patterns. You can also use it to document important configurations of the crime scene, such as the victim's body position. Select the digital camera with a single click, then left-click to snap the photo. You can use the fingerprint powder in your Detection Tool category tab to dust for fingerprints on smooth surfaces like this one. Select the fingerprint powder with a single click. Activate the brush by clicking and dragging over the surface until the print is fully revealed. Once you have revealed the print using powder, you can collect it with the Adhesive Tape tool. Select Adhesive Tape under the Collection Tools tab. To apply the tape, place it over the fingerprint and click. You can use the tweezers in your Collection Tool tab to collect most small bits of evidence. Select the tweezers with a single click, then pick up the item by clicking directly over it. You have completed all required tasks in this location. This is the CSI lab. Here you can perform analyses of your evidence once you prepare it. First, you will learn to navigate the lab and other environments. From the main view in most rooms, you can touch the mouse to the left and right edges of the screen to look around the room. Now let's review the lab equipment. There are several high-tech workstations, including the computer, the comparison microscope, and the assembly table. Look at your interface bar at the bottom of the screen. It's currently set to display evidence. When you've got a piece of evidence you want to process, just click and drag it to the appropriate workstation to prepare the item. Every workstation has a specific purpose. Next, move your pointer over any of the workstations and click to get a closer look. To complete all required tasks in this location, use the comparison microscope and the laboratory computer to process your newly collected evidence. This is the comparison microscope. It's used to enlarge items for comparison. Matching bullet striations is one example. To activate the microscope, you can drag collected evidence directly onto the panes from your interface bar below. Very good. The Evidence Tagging Gameplay Assist feature helps you identify the process state of your evidence. A gray tag on the evidence icon indicates there is more to learn about it, while a red tag means the evidence has been completely analyzed. Other Gameplay Assist features can be enabled or disabled from the Game Options menu. This is the laboratory computer. It does database and internet searches for everything from fingerprints to internet addresses. Try it now. Click on the appropriate menu item to further process your newly collected evidence. You can drag evidence into a viewing pane, then click Search. Searching the computer for fingerprints, shoe prints, and tire treads will always give you a set of results, but there's no guarantee of a positive match. You'll have to visually compare the collected sample to results before you draw your conclusion. Try it now. You have completed all required tasks in this location. This is the office of Captain Jim Brass, who works with your team. His job is to do all police procedures you would need, such as get clearance for search warrants or detain suspects to interview. To ask him a question, simply click on it with your pointer.
What's up?
Notice your case file has been updated. This means information has been added to your file on a suspect or victim. View your case file by clicking on the icon in the lower right section of your screen. Click on the case file icon in the bottom right to review the new information. The case file holds a summary of everything you've learned about victims and suspects. You can view each by clicking on their corresponding tabs at the top of the screen. View your Evidence Trinity by clicking on the Evidence Trinity button. The Evidence Trinity is your guide to measuring progress. You must find evidence that links the suspect to the victim to the crime scene, and the crime scene to the suspect. And you have now completed your CSI apprentice training. Well done. Feel free to return to this training module at any time to refresh your skills. You may now return to your investigation. Click the Options button on the bottom right of the screen, then click Main Menu.
Guess what? We have another call. Welcome to the wonderful world of CSI. I'm still helping Grissom with the caseloads, and I need you to head out to the computer game trade show at the Spheres Convention Center. We have another possible homicide. Nick Stokes will be your partner. You like Nick. Everybody does. But behind that easygoing, low-key charm of his, you'll find one of the best crime scene investigators anywhere.
Hey, I'm Nick. You into video games? Hope you like the shooting ones, because that's what we've got here. Vic took 3 hits, 2 in the torso, 1 between the eyes. Also, it's uncommonly warm in here. Feels like around 90 degrees. Not normal for a showroom floor with electronics. So, let's see what we can learn. I've heard of life imitating art, but this is taking it a little too far. Can't be a coincidence that our Vic's body was found in the same posture as the guy on the poster. M4 assault rifle. You can do a lot of killing with this baby, but unless you're well trained with it, it's not exactly a good close-range defensive weapon. Here we have an empty mag and chamber, and no GSR, so this puppy hasn't barked in a while. Also, its barrel has been modified. It couldn't fire real bullets if it wanted to. Sweet. The blood pool under the victim is smudged, indicating the body was dragged to this spot, probably posed. This needs attention ASAP. Let's use the mobile analysis unit. I'm not a medical examiner, but this looks like a handgun shot at close range. You should check for gunshot residue to be sure, but I'll bet you already knew that. From now on, I'll put any GSR samples we recover in a place where we can both access it. Yep, the ID confirms this is Stan Everston. You know, I'll play just about any kind of video game, but I think I'll pass on this sucker. I see enough carnage on the job. Hey, you got gamer's eyes yourself. A stray bullet could have a lot to say to us about exactly what went down here. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Funky characters. Kinda doubt you'd find these two walking around inside some ultraviolet game. Wonder how this t-shirt was ripped. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Looks like a display case for weapons. Heavy-duty weapons. I bet these are all used in the game somehow. .45 automatic. This could be our murder weapon. Someone could have shot our Vic that placed the gun back in the display.
I have no idea. All I can say is Stan was like this when I found him. All shot up, bloody, horrible. Know him? Yeah, he's my boss. Was my boss. That's Stan Everston, the executive producer of our company, LZP. We're a gaming company, as you probably figured out. This is a demo room for the trade show attendees. We're showing our new game, Gut Wrench 3. Marketing director is the title. But the truth is, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I put it all together, from packaging input to rolling this out to retailers and the public. You wear a lot of hats in the gaming industry. Well, last night, we set the booth up together. Or anyway, until I got burned out and was past the point of productivity. I bailed around 10:30. I should have gone back to my hotel and into the jacuzzi and then bed. But hey, one of the perks of doing a trade show in Vegas is Vegas, right? Lots of big parties hosted by the game companies. By the time I got back to the hotel, oh, God, it must have been way after midnight. Maybe, let me think, 2:15? Sure. Andy Penmore, the lead programmer. Well, the video game industry is inherently unusual. So that's a tougher one than it sounds. The ego, the testosterone in this little demo chamber. Could have sliced it and sold it for bacon. Stan didn't like to argue with Andy. Andy's too smart, got a wit and edge that'll cut you. Which is why Stan takes it out on me, usually. I mean, took it out on me. Maybe in the room he and Stan are sharing? They were sharing. Damn, this is gonna be hard to get used to. Stan is, like, really gone, isn't he? Gonna take some time to process that. But yeah, you should try his hotel room. We're here to showcase Gut Wrench 3. You come to these trade shows hoping to generate some major buzz in the gaming press. A game is a product. Like a candy bar you want to convince customers to take a bite out of. Actually, it's more than that. You want them to crave that candy, right? So we're showing retailers what we've come up with in a setting where they can get lost in the game. I spent 6 months on the pre-hype, and with a top-selling, established game franchise, hey, the next Gut Wrench is the most anticipated title in years. Gut Wrench 3 is going to change the face of first-person shooters forever. The new dynamic incapacitation system and improved spatter physics has taken this franchise to a level of realism that was impossible when Gut Wrench 1 launched. We're the best first-person shooter on the market. No, we're a few weeks away. Truth is, we already have commitments from most of the retailers here. Our primary goal now is to generate buzz, to encourage buyers to up their orders. Trouble is, we still have critical bugs to fix. And with Stan gone, who knows if we'll make the launch date. I have no idea. It's not supposed to be this hot. Maybe somebody played with our AC setting. It's not one of ours. Our ex-designer was wearing a shirt like that yesterday. Hey, I don't do wardrobe. I'm marketing. No idea. Craig Landers. Used to work with us. Brilliant guy. He created the Fuzzy and Bill franchise for LZP. He's a little odd, but it's not really unusual for those creative types. You don't get into this business because you're normal. Honestly, I have no idea. He left before I was hired. No clue. If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably down on the show floor, trying to score free t-shirts or pictures with the booth babes. Sure. I know that'll help rule me out as a suspect.
We'd like to do a gunshot residue test as well. It's standard in all gun-related investigations.
Sure.
GSR from the Vic matches the residue on Maya's hands. For Stan being a hands-on boss, our marketing gal got around too. Blood on the floor is Everston's, suggesting he was shot inside that demo room. We've done all we can do with that item.
Sure, I'll send a team right out. I would put it between 1 and 2:30 a.m. Normally, a body cools at 1 to 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour, but the officer at the scene reported the air conditioning was off all night, which throws off the standard computations. With 3 shots to the body, blood loss collected from the floor is consistent. Your victim was very likely shot at that site. Glancing at the body, I figured the shots to the chest were probably fatal. One penetrated the right lung and bounced around, filling the lungs with blood, suffocating the victim. Only that wasn't the case here. Not much blood in the lungs. The shot to the head was fatal. Once it entered, the brain shut down and immediately stopped all bodily functions. Note the scattered nature of the gunpowder specks surrounding the entry wound. Some burned, some not, indicating the shot to the forehead was fired 12 to 16 inches away. Here are the rounds from the chest cavity. They're 22 LR cartridges based on the 2.5 gram average weight. Could be either. Obviously, a .22 rifle or pistol uses the same ammunition. 2 very different angles of entry. 2 straight on, relatively, in the chest, but the forehead shot indicates an upward angle. Since you found the bullet in the wall slightly above the victim's chest, this tells us our Vic had fallen before the fatal headshot was dispatched. These marks are insect bites, or more precisely stings. The tox screen isn't back, but these could be the work of a wasp. He was lucky to avoid infection, if indeed any murder victim can be called lucky. With fresh clotting like this, the man got stung within the last 48 hours. This is recent bruising within an hour or two of death, revealing a clear knuckled outline of a strange pattern. A ring, perhaps. I've got nothing new to report on the Vic.
Okay, let's fire a bullet from the 45. This will give us a striation sample. The 45 appears unmodified. It has 3 bullets in its clip. I processed the GSR from the 45's hammer. There's an anomaly though. The 45 has 2 different variations of gunshot residue. One matches the 45, but the second is from some other bullet. I ran the serial number through Firearms Registration Database, and the computer tells us this isn't a gun club gun. It was owned and registered to our victim. Striations from the bullet in the wall match the bullet in the victim.
I've been pulling double shifts due to the workload, but I was able to get this for you. Stan Everston. No priors, much less convictions. Pretty well off. At least enough so to live in Beverly Hills, CA. Wife's been at home all week with their newborn son. The late Mr. Everston was executive producer at LZP Entertainment. He's worked for several big companies in the game biz, worked on several high-profile titles. But he has a rep for pushing people to new heights, and sometimes pushing them too far. Finding enemies won't be a taxing task. Let me just check the computer. Okay, Mr. Everston was sharing a room with Andy Penmore. Next door is the gunslinging Ms. Maya Wynn. All checked in yesterday afternoon, Sphere Hotel. We have a very angry lady who likes to hold guns. And she also has GSR in her hands that matches the GSR on the Vic? Yeah, let's bring her in for questioning.
No! I'm the one who rented the thing. Why wouldn't my prints be on them? We were at a firing range and, keep this to yourself, but I overslept after partying last night and skipped my shower. I created a team-building exercise to boost morale to blow off steam. It was also part of our marketing position, how we put realism into the game. It was a photo op. We had our pictures taken while firing guns for sending out to the media. It was our core team, me, Stan, and Andy, plus Craig. Stan invited him too, at Andy's insistence. I guess it was old loyalty to a founding member. Couple of them. I kinda dig handguns, and they look good on me. Ever seen those Hong Kong action movies? Chicks with guns? I started with a .22, but it just didn't do it for me. So I switched to a .45. That one kicked ass. Oh, sorry. That must really sound in bad taste. The rest of the weapons are still waiting to be picked up at the gun club. I brought the M4 assault rifle over early to ensure it would fit in the display. The realism of our game stems from the fact that every in-game gun is modeled after the real deal, and we had them here at the booth to make that point. This industry is heavily male-oriented, including the retailers, and everybody knows boys like toys. So I brought the toys for the boys to look at. No, we originally arranged to rent replica guns for the show, but when we picked them up, they all had a red cap on the muzzle. Gut Wrench 3 is all about realism. There's no way we can display weapons that are obviously toys. This was a last-minute wild idea I had, out at the gun club. I suggested we rent them from the club, and Stan loved the idea. I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't live here. I just hopped in a cab and said gun club. You're detectives, right? How about checking a phone book? Again, realism and promotion. All of us here would role-play a combat situation, right in the booth, you know, every few minutes? Which is why I'm dressed for action, and sadly, Stan is too.
I don't understand. What's the point of play acting shoot 'em up?
To bring the game to life, to make the buyers feel like they were inside the game, to stimulate them to see our game over every other one here. Listen, a trade show is a kind of carnival, and this was effective. And yes, it was my idea. And hey, I'd have gone farther with it if I could. I wanted to fire off blanks, but the fire marshal nixed it. Too unsafe.
So you had no form of live ammunition in your play acting?
Nothing. Yeah, he was. Not for real, of course. But his role was to take the hit, yes, and I was the shooter. We rehearsed it a couple times right before I left last night. I just point the empty gun at him, timing it to the demo, and mime to the game's sound effects. We rented the weapons from the gun club. I have no idea if they were modified or not. I didn't purchase any ammo. They were for show only. Stan couldn't see renting a .45 automatic when he just bought one. Sure, it was real. Hadn't been modified for safety, but hey, it was unloaded. And it's not like somebody would be walking around the trade show with a pocket full of bullets. Yesterday that sounded more reasonable, I admit. Well, he said he bought it for the company. It's the first weapon the art and sound staff used as reference. Andy thought he could program the game more realistically if he was familiar with the weapon, with its physics, as Andy put it. As I said, we are all about realism. The game has to be convincing.
No problem. Here you go. Line of Fire Gun Club, 3727 North Ralston Avenue.
Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough.
Perhaps you have some ID?
We're with the Las Vegas Crime Lab. We have a few questions.
Yes, I'm Andy Penmore. Is this about Stan? He never came home last night, but then this is Las Vegas.
I'm afraid Mr. Everston is dead.
Is this some kind of weird joke? Craig behind this maybe? Or Maya? More of her off-the-wall publicity? I've been up all night slaving over some final tweaks Stan wants, and I'm in no mood for practical jokes.
No joke. He's dead. Murdered. In your demo booth.
No.
He was shot 3 times, Mr. Penmore. That's why we're here.
Oh my God. This is real. Really? Stan's my friend. He can't... We were just together last night, so... My God.
This is no game. This is real, Mr. Penmore.
Just last night, in the demo room, putting finishing touches on the presentation, looking for bugs, discussing these final tweaks. God, I can't believe this. I headed back to my hotel room at around 1 in the morning. Stan wanted me to get on those fixes, and he stayed at the booth, preparing for the media demo today. No, nobody I saw, anyway. Who told you that? Maya? Typical. Trying to make me look bad, take the heat off her after she was screaming at Stan, which is why she was having problems with him. You had to know how to handle that guy, and attacking and counterattacking was bad strategy.
If you don't mind, let's just get back to the question. Did you ask Stan Everston to buy you a gun?
Of course I did. How else could I program a game this realistic without understanding the actual physics of the key weapon? Also, our art staff needed it for reference. Is any of that hard to grasp? Look, I never shot anything more real than a super soaker. Not that Stan took much convincing. He'd been wanting to buy a gun for himself for some time. He had a genuine paranoid streak. Only now that he's a murder victim, he doesn't seem quite so paranoid, I guess. It's Stan's. He bought it for his .45. He used it last night at the gun club. Sure, this is a disaster. Personally and professionally. I'll help in any way I can. Anything you need.
Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Vic had a cell number. Looks like this area is clean. Recover a phone from the body. Did the killer lift it for some reason? Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Hey, a scorpion. Maybe we ought to call Gris in. Oh, I keep forgetting you're new. Grissom gets excited about bugs. Only, I don't know if you'd call this a bug exactly. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Hey, that's Fuzzy and Bill from that t-shirt we found. Looks like they've also been killed. Their video game got the axe. Looks like a number of hardcore fans were pretty teed off. Email's corrupted. A virus, maybe? Well, Miss Wynn painted a picture of a hype machine rolling happily along, but it looks like Stan the man was not so happy with her marketing campaign. That's pretty interesting.
Sure, of course. At a big show like this, he'd be dead without it. Well, sorry, poor choice of words. Let me think. Yeah, he had it, because he text messaged me right after I got back to the room. Asked me to order a Cobb salad from room service and have it waiting for him. Thing's still sitting here, wilting. Just that I saw Maya wad it up and throw it at Stan yesterday, right after we checked in. She was pissed. Actually, the surprise would have been for her not to be. You see, she and Stan, they've been at each other's throats for 3 weeks. It's been getting nastier and nastier as we got closer and closer to this show. They did not see eye to eye on the market strategy at all. Stan's. Well, looks kinda bad, sort of sick at the moment, but I let this friend of ours do that as a practical joke. Thing was dead, couldn't hurt him, and Craig said Stan would get a kick out of it. Those two were always doing that kind of thing to each other, so I just went along. Hell no, it was dead. Couldn't hurt him, or me for that matter. He's a game designer who was one of the founders of the company with Stan, even before I arrived. He left about a year ago. His sense of humor is kind of out there, call it an acquired taste. For example, just before he left the company, when he was working on Gut Wrench 3, he put in a cheat code that lets you kill the boss. Of course, killing bosses is common in shooting games. At the end of a level, it's usually big bad guys or grotesque monsters or whatever. Not yuppie businessmen who look exactly like Stan Everston. You had to be there. Anyway, this was about the time Stan fired him. Gee, I've no idea. He drove here on his own just to attend the trade show and hang out with us. I couldn't give you his license under hypnosis, man. It's some SUV, American make, I think. Ask Maya, why don't you? Craig was hitting on it pretty hard yesterday, and they were getting friendly. Saw him exchange phone numbers. Yeah, it is.
May we collect it as evidence?
Well, I know I said I'd do anything to help out, but there is a line. I have a lot of stuff coming through here, like time-critical bug reports on the game. I'm sorry, I can't give it up, especially since it has nothing to do with Stan's death.
What can I do for you, officers?
Las Vegas Crime Lab. We have a few questions we need to ask. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough.
Our claim to fame are the public firing lanes we offer, 50 feet long. Patrons can rent weapons from us or bring their own. We offer guns for purchase as well, and our members get lower prices, lower rates on our services. We're responsible operation officers. We're all about gun safety here, offer classes for the whole family. But we also offer a tactical training course to police and military personnel. I'm sure some of your colleagues have utilized our services. For example, our changeable walkthrough course with simulated real-world environments. The only group we had was from a video game company. A small group, just 4, but they charged it on a company card. Actually, yes. You see, people usually come out for one of 2 reasons. To have a good time, or to do some serious training. These 4, well, if I'd had known what kind of mood they were in, I don't know if I'd done business with them. They were at each other, really nasty insults, arguments, 2 in particular.
Which couple was, arguing?
A young Asian woman and an older guy. Handsome, I'd say. They were in a huge fight. I mean, over the top to where I thought they might come to violence, which is not good in this environment. I came out and told them to get their act together, or they'd be out on the sidewalk where they could fight without guns in their hands. We can check the sign-in sheet for sure, but best I remember, in the evening, around 8 till maybe 10. We are pro-police here at the gun club. You guys are the first line of defense, and we back you all the way. Private lane number 1 is still in the condition they left it, so hey, do your thing.
A useful list of who had brought what to the party.
Set of firearms? More like an arsenal. But understand, we don't rent out functioning firearms. Well, they function to a degree, but they're modified for non-lethal pellets, for legal reasons.
What kind of non-lethal ammo does it fire?
Paint bullets, but not paintball exactly. These are the smaller variety pellets used in high-tech tactical training. These suckers pinpoint. And just because you can't get killed doesn't mean you want one of these paint pellets pelting you. They leave a whale of a welt. No, not without substituting a real barrel onto the weapon, and even then a special adapter has to be installed. And, well, it would be more trouble than it's worth. And we don't rent the real barrels out, if that's what you're thinking. Seems to me one of them did, but I'm hazy on who, and what caliber the weapon was. I mean, I see so many guns in this place. But it'll be on the sign-in sheet. We're all over it when somebody brings their own gun into our space. Now that you mention, the one who seemed to be the boss, fella who paid for the session, Stan Everston, he bought a .45 auto and some ammo for it.
Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Wow, look at that grouping. That kind of shooting takes considerable practice.
I can't think of anything else for you.
Yeah, I had the phone company track it to a general area using the GPS. It just arrived. She's on her way to interrogation now.
Look, when you get hired for a job, it's because you got the right credentials, right? I've got a master's in marketing, but Stan thinks he knows how to do my job better because he's a guy. These last 2 weeks, man, they've been brutal.
What do you mean?
The company's come under a lot of critical fire lately, over the same old blah blah, excessive violence, lack of morality. I tried to tell him that negative publicity was a good thing, but he told me I just didn't get it. I'm a woman in a man's world, you know? If a girl doesn't play hardball, she gets rolled over. I worked too hard to have some chauvinist like Stan keep me from reaching my goals. I mean, I'm sorry he's dead. He was talented. This wasn't anything you'd kill anybody over. A professional disagreement that got a little ugly, is all. Argue is a little strong. We raised our voices, but hell, it's loud in a firing range. I guess maybe I started to kid him, you know, and it got out of hand. Just childish crap. Like this insulting text message he sent me the other night. Really pissed me off. Oh, hell, I don't remember. I mean, it's a dead issue, right? Sorry, that sounded bad. I just mean, the guy's gone. Let's cut him a break. Hardly at all. I just met him yesterday evening at that gun club. Apparently, he helped LZP get off the ground, and of course, I knew about his game getting killed.
Andy says you were acting very friendly. Mind telling us what that was about?
What happened to what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
You're still in Vegas. What happened?
Look, let's keep this confidential, because I got a life back home. Have you ever met somebody at a party or something and clicked and wound up in the backseat of a car? I found Craig a little bit cute last night, and I was half drunk.
When did you leave his car?
I left Craig around 1:30 or so, in the AM. Garage underneath the Sphere Convention Center. Only Craig isn't staying at the Sphere. Isn't staying anywhere, really. He's between gigs and on a tight budget. A new GMC Envoy. I even know his license plate because it was personalized after the characters in his game, Fuzzy and Bill. FZYBIL, I think. Craig started Fuzzy and Bill as an online comic, right? And then spun off into an indie comic book, popular but a cult thing. So when the game was announced, it was like, I don't know, the second coming or something to those comic nerds. So of course they went postal when the game was scrapped.
How postal did they go?
They're hardcore fans of the comic, and a vocal minority that stirs up all kinds of online trouble. But they're still a minority, you know, all talk and no sell-through. A few thousand crying fans is nothing when hit games sell millions of copies. I mean, have you heard of Fuzzy and Bill?
What I don't get is how this Fuzzy and Bill game is tied to launching Gut Wrench 3.
LZP is a successful company, for sure, but a small one. We only have so much personnel, and for that matter, cash flow. And anyway, my marketing research showed that another Fuzzy and Bill would never generate enough sales to break even, let alone show a profit. But Gut Wrench 3, on the other hand, builds on two enormously successful games and is what the mass public wants commercially. We'll achieve total market penetration with Gut Wrench 3. It's a no-brainer. That's all I have to say.
That'll go on the trace analysis computer. I would have encrypted this little number myself if I was standing up to a boss like that. I've printed this love letter out for you. Looks like our Vic was busy making friends right up to the end. With a text message this close to the time of death, this could have provoked an attack. Or the messages could have been sent after the murder. Maybe somebody used to the cell phone to send messages, pulling off the time of death.
Hey, how's the video game case going?
It's not game over yet. We've got some suspects, including a high-strung marketer, an aloof programmer, and a mysterious designer.
Any good physical evidence yet?
Nothing substantial, but it's still early in the case. We just ran his phone messages. It looks like he sent this message just before he died.
Maybe. Didn't Doc Robbins report the time of death was estimated? And you didn't actually find his phone at the scene.
If Stan sent the last message just before he died, where's his phone? Maybe someone else sent that message after the murder and then tossed the phone.
You know what Grissom would say.
Yeah. Follow the evidence.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
I didn't threaten his ass. He was pushing too hard, and I told him to back off. That's no threat.
So when you say, keep pushing and I will push back, you meant that in the nicest way.
All I meant was, clean up your act, or I'm out of here. Listen, these video game guys, they're kids. Eternal kids. Well, I'm not a kid. But I do have a kid, a 10-year-old, who I like to see now and then on the rare occasion. And as a single mom facing week after week of extended periods of crunch time, well, enough's enough. It's just not worth it. How about a boss who demands everything and doesn't appreciate anything? A micromanager who changes his mind with the wind and saves up the biggest changes for the last minute. The smallest concern, the biggest ordeal imaginable. How's that for a complaint?
Anything else?
Well, Stan would go on and on and on about needing to get real, to bring the gritty reality of combat into not just the game, but my campaign, while dealing with a media backlash as well.
So how can you reason with a guy like that? You tried at the gun club and it was like shooting blanks. So you decided to shoot him with something else.
And here's where I break down, right? Under your expert interrogation? Sorry. I hated the jerk. He was driving me insane, but I didn't kill him. I'm a professional, but I'm human, okay? He was unprofessional and would not let the hell up, so I snapped back. That's one of those bad things about text messaging, you know? You wind up writing things you'd never say.
I wasn't keeping track. Best guess, 1 a.m., a little after. Call it 5 after. Shouldn't be too hard. There's security cameras in the lobby. Can't you check those out?
That tells us what time you were in the lobby, but what else can you tell us?
Well, I remember I watched a pay-per-view movie last night. That's something the company doesn't pay for, by the way. Gotta cover all incidentals ourselves. Anyway, I've got the receipt right here.
Revenge of the Psycho Blood Mutants. Brass could check that out on the security cam footage.
I've divulged everything I can think of.
I am indeed Craig Landers, game designer, visionary, master of the universe. I'd invite you into my office, but it's a little cramped. What's up? Ooh, sounds serious. I'll see if I can whip up a few answers. Is it serious, guys? Must have been, yeah, last night sometime. Why, you looking for him? Try the LZP demo booth. Dude lives there.
Dude died there last night. Murdered, Mr. Landers.
What is this? What, some kind of joke or something? Hey, you're not kidding, are you? Hey, that's crazy. He was breathing the last time I saw him, which must have been around 10 p.m. after the party. We walked to my car. Here. He was like my brother. I mean, LZP was our mutual thing, grew out of what we had, which was well, friendship, but like all brothers, we had our problems, you know, business stuff. But we went back to the birth of LZP. Anyway, he invited me to this launch party last night, so you can see we were tight, even now. Of course, with a demanding dude like that, control freak, he's bound to rub people the wrong way. You'll have a lot of suspects to sort out. Maybe I can help. Just happen to be between gigs, but with my rep, hey, I'll find something. One of the reasons I'm here at the show is to network and let people know I'm available. See, most designers would be at the show on somebody else's expense account, but right now, I'm on my own dime. Only I don't have many at that. Since opening day of the trade show? Guys, you're not gonna bust me for camping out, are you? I'm doing business. Give me a break. Have a heart. Don't make me move my wheels.
Parking garage security isn't the crime lab's deal, but I can see why you like the location. Pretty close to the convention center.
You're right about that. I'm not in Vegas for the gambling. A game expo like this is a prime opportunity for a designer like me to hook up with a new company. Easy for somebody with my record to talk to the top people and recruiters. Plus, I gotta stay current. See what the competition's up to and where the virtual world is heading.
Must be pretty tough, playing video games all day.
Must be tough eating donuts all day. No offense, but as often as you hear that, I get what you said. This is a tough, demanding business. Kill or be killed. I meant that figuratively. Maya. Yes. Yeah, sure. Great girl. Woman. We connected. I've always had a kind of thing for Asian beauties, and she sure qualifies. And smart and funny. Wow. We took off after the party and had a few drinks and wound up in my, well, my little four-wheel suite here.
Did you discuss her outburst with Stan?
Maybe I better go for full disclosure here. One of the things we bonded over was our mutual frustration with Stan, and what a tyrant he's been lately. It's a bummer to think about now. Oh, well, I wasn't exactly watching my watch, but I'd say, just before midnight, we were together in the, on the back seat there till 1:30-ish? Tried to do the gentlemanly thing and offer her a ride, but she said, oh, don't be silly, she could walk. It was just one of the outlying buildings attached to the Sphere complex. Where else? So right here in my office, which is also my bedroom. I played a few games on my handheld and finally drifted off to sleep. Yeah, legally purchased in California and registered to me. Why? Did I break some statute or something? It's just Stan and Andy suggested I bring it. Something about getting the team into the reality behind first-person shooting games. Stan knew I have a gun and know my way around firearms. He thought I could give the gang a few tips. Yeah, there it is. I was handing them out at the show to, you know, hype up the characters. Where'd you find it?
We found this at the crime scene.
I have no idea. Maybe someone tore one I handed out? Hey, I do want to help, but they say a man's home is his castle, and right now, these wheels are all the castle I've got. I know all about my rights, including you needing a search warrant first. That I'll do. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. Stan's death is a shock to me. Do your tests. Game map of killing... Oh, come on, you can't be serious. That was a joke, an inside joke, which was the last thing I designed at LZP before we fell out and I left the company. Surprisingly, he wasn't thrilled. He had a sick sense of humor. We had that in common, a kind of dark, practical joker streak, so I thought he'd laugh. But all of a sudden, Stan reacted like he'd grown a stick up his butt. That was the last reason I needed to hasta la vista. It was just time. I'd been in on the ground floor of LZP and helped guide its direction for years, but Stan was moving us into increasingly more violent games, and I was thinking we were getting... I'm no prude or censor, but we were definitely skirting the edge of irresponsible, okay? Kids get access to these games, even the restricted ones, and I got into this field to give players entertainment, challenging entertainment sometimes just sheer fun. But blowing people away in increasingly realistic explosions of blood and brains and bone, well... let's just say it wasn't my dream. Back in better days, Stan and I shared a kind of warped sense of humor. Maybe I was trying to get that back, or maybe I was just trying to get back at him. But it doesn't matter, because I didn't even shoot it. That was Maya. I'm staying perfectly straight with you guys. Yes, I put it there. It was one of the little guys I rounded up out in the desert.
Why'd you put it in his bed?
Haven't you heard anything I've said? We were practical jokers. Stan and me, even Andy. I know it sounds like bizarre video gamer bonding, but it's true.
Craig had his hands on the weapons case, another potential link to the crime scene.
The security chief at the Sphere says their videotape puts Andy Penmore returning at 1:08 a.m. and staying put. Maya didn't get in until 2:15, giving her a half hour to do who knows what. With the hotel connected to the convention center, she has opportunity, all right. She's on her way to interrogation now.
We have security video showing you getting back to your room half an hour after you left Craig's. Your hotel room was less than 5 minutes away. What, you stopped to gamble?
No, I'd already gambled enough going for a one-night back seat stand. In fact, I sat at the curb and just held my head in my hands and thought about my life and my kid, and I said I was human. A tired human who let go for once. Fresh air felt good. So what if I did? Craig plastered that pic on the target. I took aim and showed them my stuff. Gotta give Stan credit. He laughed. For a while. Maybe you guys ought to join the gun club. Me, I was raised around firearms. My dad was ex-military and his big hobby was hunting. Plus, I didn't have any brothers and kind of went the tomboy route to please Daddy, who trained me in guns from grade school. But I never could bring myself to shoot animals, so I was strictly a target range girl, and I have the medals to prove it. I used my experience to help Andy with his in-game physics simulations. Not that he showed any gratitude. After all, I'm only marketing. He's the coder.
Since the start of the company, I was the first guy he hired. He could be a tough guy to work for, but we were also friends. Anyway, it was his dough and his contacts in the biz that got the company off the ground. Of course, it was my contribution, my game code, that made the company a player. I write the programming code. Back in the early days, programmers like me were God. We designed the games, created the artwork, did all the programming. Only as the industry's grown, it's got more specialized. So my code is still what makes it all happen. I am Gut-Wrench 3. Well, like I said, leave isn't exactly the word. The dude was canned. And he hasn't been able to land a job ever since. And it's been months. He's living out of his damn car, you know.
Craig didn't mention being fired. You sure he didn't leave on his own?
Dude, I was there. It was a raving blowout between those two. As for what was behind it, well, we were all working on Craig's little game, Fuzzy and Bill. We slaved on it for months and months, and it sold squat. It was total hard drive crash to Craig's ego when Stan pulled the plug on the promised sequel. Canceling the game was a shock, but Craig held on, thinking he could design Gut-Wrench 3. All through development, those two were at each other's throats. And last night, they picked up right where they left off, Screaming Match City. We were at the demo booth, getting it ready, and I took a break. Shouldn't have left those two alone, I guess. I could hear them yelling at each other, really tearing each other bloody gaping new ones. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. I do remember Stan bitching about his foot itching. He said he'd got a couple of wasp stings just before he flew out here. Not his weekend, huh?
We have a strong connection here. The bullet's a 22, he owns a 22, his shirt is at the scene, and Landers has a bit of history with our Vic. The search warrant will be for a handgun or handgun accessories.
Where didn't I argue with Stan? We fought like brothers, I told you that. Why? Did that creep Andy say... Look, it's no big deal. I don't know what Penmore's problem is anyway. Hell, I'm the one on the outside. He's the one with part ownership of LZP now. He was the new brother. Replaced me in Stan's heart and company. Technically, I was fired. But let's just say I already had my desk cleared out. Why does that matter?
What was the reason you were fired?
The real reason or the stated one? Because, you see, officially, I wasn't a good fit with the new vision of the company. But really, it was our disagreement about the future of LZP. And my desire to have a little goddamn responsibility about who we were selling our products to. The pisser is... I get so steamed just thinking about it. I trusted him when we set things up. So he wound up owning my intellectual property. And I'm left at square one. I created the original Fuzzy and Bill online comic years ago. Way before LZP. Then I sold Stan the full commercial rights for $1, on the understanding that he would make it into a game with me in for a big share as an employee of LZP. We published. The game didn't sell big, but it had a following. Stan decided to bury Fuzzy and Bill, not just the video game, all other merchandising too, just to put me in my place. There the property sits, still at LZP, and here I sit, out of work and no way to make a nickel on my own creation. What? Oh, that. It'll sound lame, but I was out in the desert catching scorpions the other day. Little critters scurry around the rocks, you know, and these are my, red badges of stupidity.
You telling me you actually got into a fist fight would sound less lame. You could save us a step by letting us take an impression of your ring. We can get a warrant. Easy, but...
I got nothing to hide. Actually, I've got nothing, period. Oh, crud. Wait. I demand to see a lawyer. I know my rights.
You watch too much TV, man. Stay nearby in case we have any questions. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. Looks like this area is clean. Way to be thorough. This guy takes his gaming seriously, but it's not covered by our warrant. Looks like... These 22 caliber bullets are the same brand as the ones found in the body. Looks like this area. Scorpion collectors. I just don't get it. Luckily, this is not covered by our warrant. Looks like... Ah, yes, the mysterious 22. Looks like this. At last we meet. Looks like...
I've told you everything I know.
She's on her way to interrogation now.
No. I know Craig wanted his job back. Maybe my looks and charm weren't the only thing Craig saw in me. Maybe he also wanted to know about the state of office politics. Anyway, in his car we were griping about Stan, and Craig told me he tried to talk to Stan back at the convention center, but that it hadn't turned out so hot.
Well, the tox screen is in. While there was no venom detectable in the bloodstream, a high number of antibodies were present, confirming the sting happened within 48 hours. Could be a yellow jacket, could be a scorpion. Well, most of them are non-lethal, to adults at least. Worst case, the sting could have caused anaphylactic shock, like a bee or wasp sting. A severe reaction can cause death, but not in this case. The bruising patterns match up to these markings. Also, the bruise had a very large white blood cell count, which only happens when the person hit is alive.
That means this ring struck Stan Everston before he died.
I've divulged everything I can think of.
So the crime lab's back. I was just thinking about you because our new gun club magazine came in, and it's got an article about something you were asking about, modifying guns. Take one. They're complimentary. I can't think of anything else for you.
The weapon's unloaded, but the barrel's been tampered with. Somebody scraped the inside of it. Maybe they were trying to discourage ballistics matches. The gunpowder from Landers 22 matches the second type of powder found on the 45 automatic? The striations don't match, which is not a shock, considering the barrel's been tampered with. So I'm not ready to rule this out as the murder weapon. It would be nice to know whether this gun was futzed with before or after the crime. Our ousted game designer either knowingly or unknowingly provided the bullets that killed his former boss. The problem is, somehow all three of our suspects fired these rounds. The electron microscope confirms the gunpowder found on the forehead wound matches all three of our suspects' hands. This definitely muddies the water a little bit.
What's up?
We have a real mystery here. Let me lay it out for you. We have a 22 caliber bullet that we found in the body. Its GSR matches this box of 22 bullets. We also recovered a 22 handgun owned by one of the suspects and have found the same GSR traces on it.
Okay.
But ballistics don't match, so this weapon didn't actually fire the bullets into the Vic.
Sounds like you need to find a different 22.
Well, there's one more twist. The 45 handgun we found at the crime scene also has traces of the 22 bullets GSR on its hammer, but as you know, it can't fire a 22 round.
That's true. But didn't I overhear something about modified rifles from the gun range?
Yeah, but that's out. It only fired paint pellets.
Same concept, Nick. How do you fire a non-standard bullet from a weapon? Modify the weapon. I'd go back to the gun shop and see what else they know.